Yeah.
First of all, I want to tell you how much I enjoyed the book In This Economy. It is, I really feel like it's one of the first books about the economy by like an economist type person where every sentence didn't seem to end with the phrase, obviously, dumbass. Like, it's not condescending at all. It's just really, it's so clear and accessible.
Yeah, thank you. That's the goal. I think we really underserve people with economics education, and we send people out into the world without understanding anything about economics. Like, it's not required in a lot of schools. And so the book is really meant to just help people understand these things that you have to know to exist in the modern world.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was a much better way of putting it than I put it. Because it is, in the economics books, I find that they get so, you know, ultra focused on certain, the curve of the Philip and the thing. And this is just, here's what's in your economy. These are the ingredients. Here's how they work together. And it's not math, it's like probabilities. This may do this, it may also do this. There's a nuance to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's people. Like, the economy is made up of people. In the book, I say it's just people peopling around, which is true. And so you have to, when you look at economics, you have to really consider how people act, and they're not always rational. And so it's important to incorporate that when you talk about it.
Did you find, was the impetus for this when you were studying economics and when you're in those areas, did you find that they were at a remove? Is that what drew you to grounding this more in actual people and the results? Because economists talk about things, they're sitting in sort of windowless rooms going, I'll raise this rate and I'll lower that rate, and it's like a bunch of people then get foreclosed on, and you're like, well, that didn't work. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Is that what made you think of it that way?
Well, I've been inspired by so many economists, and I think with this book, I felt like there was a bit of a gap in the market. Like, the book has 60 illustrations, it's meant to be fun, there's a lot of metaphors, a lot of poetry, and so I just wanted to tie a thread to economics, to the rest of literature, to some elements of humanities, because it really is like the art of people.
Right.
And so I wanted to try to do that.
As you now look at the situation that we're in, so let's apply this. I want to talk to this new bill that's come out.
The beautiful bill.
Oh, apparently it's quite lovely.
I have heard.
It has alliteration. It's large. It makes really sophisticated and erudite news people say, big, beautiful bill, like they're ordering at Friendly's, like, I'll have a fribble. Like, the thing that strikes me about this is whenever we talk about an economy being irresponsible in terms of spending, the go-to fall guy for that, the go-to scapegoat, are the poor. Is that the conventional wisdom in economics? You know, where our deficit is out of control. You know where we could take it out of? Medicaid.
Yeah.
Is austerity conventional wisdom when there's deficit spending?
Yeah, so austerity is reducing the deficit by cutting spending or raising taxes. And so the common idea by cutting spending is that you'll go after the things that we spend a lot of money on, which is Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. And so that's the first thing that they went after. I don't think it's the smartest thing to go after, but it is a big part of what the government spends money on.
Right.
And so I think it was, first to go, which is sad because you shouldn't go after people, and you should think about raising taxes instead of cutting them.
So why is it, so when I look at the budget and I go, so the Defense Department got a raise. Now their budget's going to be $1 trillion. We've created a brand new ICE unit. They get $150 billion. The Pentagon's never passed an audit. All I see is senators and Republicans out on TV going, the big problem in this country is able-bodied people who still get Medicaid. But none of them go out and go, our big problem is we spend $500 billion a year on defense contractors and they can't pass an audit. Yeah. Why is it that the go-to then is people?
I mean, I think people are easier to cut from. Like, there's a lot of lobbying that goes on with the Defense Department. There's a lot of companies that have big contracts. They're going to make sure that those contracts are insured and kept up to standard. And so it's much easier to go after things like Medicaid and Medicare because the everyday person can't really have a lobbyist,
Oh, dear God.
Fighting for them.
It really is. Like poor people need better lobbyists. Like, it's so horrible to think about. But I want to ask you, like, so that's why they do it. Do they have a case? In other words, is austerity, as you look at it through when they've balanced budgets like that, is that real? Is there another way that we could ostensibly do this? Is that still believing in the last, 40 or 50 years of supply-side economics?
I mean, I think some elements of supply-side economics are good, like investing in infrastructure, thinking about how we can expand the economy. Like, if you think about the way that we grow, one way to manage debt is to cut spending, but the other thing is to invest in productive things. Like, what if we built out high-speed rail or invested in
but they
housing?
cut that stuff too.
Exactly, I know, and so that's really counterproductive. It's super counterproductive to cut clean energy and then try to build out AI data centers, right? But that's the way, I think, out of the mess that we're in with the deficit, is we have to invest in things that are truly productive.
As someone who is observing this from its component parts, when you saw the strategy that they were going to use, this is their economic plan, whether it be, through fiscal policy, he wants the Fed to lower the interest rates so that they, servicing the debt will be less expensive. What is it that you see in their bill that you go, that might be smart, and what is it that you see in there that go, man, we are going down the wrong road?
I'm really worried about the cuts to clean energy, and I'm worried about the cuts to Medicare and Medicaid. Over 700 rural hospitals are going to have to close, and there's no other option for people who are going to those rural hospitals. Like, they're
Right.
going to have to drive hours to go and find care. And so I think it's a bill that cuts taxes for the very wealthy of the population, who will benefit massively from this bill, and then puts a lot of the rest of the population at risk. And if you think about an economy that's growth forward, I don't think that's how you would design a bill.
Did you see a change? What changed for me economically is watching in 2008 when the economy fell apart and the government stepped in and they poured billions and billions of dollars into this supply side economy. They bailed out AIG, they bailed out all those people, but they didn't do a demand side stimulus where they helped people whose houses were being foreclosed. And I don't know that we've ever really recovered from that. But in the pandemic, there were some demand stimuluses that seemed really effective. Why didn't that take in terms of economic theory? Was it just inflation? Because every country had inflation. We even had it less.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of economic theory shows that demand-side stimulus really helps during downturns. It's one of the best things to do, is to help people out by giving them money, especially if they can't go to work, like how it was during the pandemic.
Right.
And so I think it is something that people believe in, but it's tough. It's a tough sell politically. Like, it's a tough narrative.
So this is a political problem, not an economic problem.
Most economic problems are political problems at the end of the day. Yeah. Yeah.
But they never say that.
Why would they?
No! Kyla, that's exactly right. What do they do with you in the meetings? Like, do you get to raise your hand and go like, guys, this is a political problem, not an economic. If we're going to rebuild, so let's rebuild an economic model that maybe makes more sense, because even the Democrats have bought into the supply side. Like, even the ACA, Obamacare, is kind of a supply side. It's just subsidies and stimulus to insurance companies.
Yeah.
How do we rebuild the theory of the economy can you rebuild it on a responsible demand side economic policy?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot that we can do to invest in labor, to invest in jobs, to invest, yeah, exactly.
That seems like the thing. It seems like over the last 50 years, capital is king and labor is devalued.
Yeah.
How do we rebalance that?
Well, so Robert Lawrence has a really interesting paper from 2015.
Read it?
Yeah, where
I call it the Lawrence paper.
But it's great. It talks about how we can use capital to help out labor. Like, they don't have to be mutually exclusive. Like, we can actually have money invest in the labor force, like invest in training opportunities, give labor a voice at the table, invest in different, employee stock option programs, give people a stake in the system that they're participating in beyond just wages. And so I think that's going to have to be the next step for the economy, is like, how do we make labor have a central voice in the conversation? Because I think a lot of the discontent that people feel right now is they feel like they're not able to be a part of the conversation because capital has been so dominant.
And it seems like a political no-brainer, and I wonder why the Democrats have not been more forceful about, because I think we've learned this idea that if the government intervenes on the economy, that's socialism if they do it on behalf of people. But if they do it on behalf of corporations or subsidies or wealthy tax cuts, that's fair game because that's the free market. Maybe politically we need to understand that we don't have a free market.
Yeah.
Would that work?
I think so. I mean, I don't know how that'll go over.
Would you join me in my crusade?
Yeah.
Would you do the illustrations for this new? It's not about getting rid of capitalism. It's about
No, it's not.
government being the backstop to the necessary collateral damage that occurs from capitalist process, no?
Yeah, I mean, I think people really undervalue the role of government, and I think a lot of people government is inefficient and it's bloated in a lot of cases, but it's also created amazing things like roads and DARPA and got us into space, and it was because the government paired with private markets, right? Like everything has to exist in the sense of symbiosis with each other,
right.
And I think we've kind of forgotten that, like everything exists in a vessel all by itself, and the more that we can connect the dots between private markets, between the government, the better off we'll be.
Is there anyone out there that you see that's talking like that? Like Mamdani has gotten a lot of momentum here in New York, and immediately everybody's like, you're a socialist. Like there is no in-between for anybody. Yeah. Has he been putting forth the message that it's a little different than what you're saying right now, but is that the type of thing that maybe can gain that momentum for labor?
I think what's really nice about Mamdani is he's thinking about things differently. Like clearly there has to be some sort of ideas pushed forward that are different than what we're doing now, just from purely a sentiment perspective. Like people aren't feeling good, and how do we make them feel better by investing in them? I think one paper that I really liked, or article from Kate Arnoff on pool party progressivism.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah.
I call it the Arnoff paper.
Yeah. But she talks about, how do we give people dignity in the labor force? Like, how do we invest in them? How do we make sure that they feel a part of the structure? And sometimes that's beyond just like EV tax credits. Like we have to think about investing in a person.
Right.
And I think Mamdani has come forward and said, listen, what we're doing now isn't working for the everyday person. Here's how we can think about making things more affordable. And ideally, both political parties would build on top of that and learn that that's a message that works.
I never understood why they conceded the idea of entitlements as though it's not investment. Human capital is the best capital. I mean, for God's sakes, our economy is 70%, consumer spending. Why don't we think about not a social safety net, but a stronger floor? It's not entitlement, it's investment. Yeah. If you get production out of that human capital that's suffering, wouldn't that be a better use of it?
Yeah.
Than subsidizing pharmaceutical companies that don't give us a break on drug prices.
Right, yeah. Ideally, you would want technology and humans to coexist. You would want technology to be complementary.
Well, I'll do it, but you better go talk to technology. I don't think technology is interested.
Well, and that's part of the problem, too, is that some elements of the tech universe are working against what, you and I are talking about.
Peter Thiel! The guy asked him, he said, should humans exist? And he's like, let me think about that.
But Peter Thiel understands the system really well. I don't know if you ever saw that email that he sent to Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, I call it the Zuckerberg email.
But he said that people are going to become disenchanted with capitalism if they feel like they don't have a stake in the system. He said this in an email. Like, he gets it. He gets why people are upset. He gets that certain elements of the system aren't working, and I think for him it's easier to replace the human race or something.
We've got two choices here: invest in people and make them feel more relevant in the world as it exists, or get rid of them. And he's going transhumanism. All right. Well, here's the final thing that I think maybe this might be helpful, and the way that you explain the economy in this book is what made me think of this. You've deconstructed it to its component parts. And it's something that I haven't seen done like in the healthcare economy. Like, you can get a bill where it's $600 for an Advil, but it's never the ingredient list of why. Mm-hmm. you don't really have a sense of where our money goes in this system.
Yeah.
Would there be, is that a use for like AI to give the rest of us a better understanding of the component parts of what things cost, so that we can see more clearly how labor needs to be better compensated? You can't call people essential workers and then throw them off Medicaid. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah, I mean, trust is one of the most expensive things in the world, and it's one of the scarcest things that we have right now. And I think the more information that you can give people about where their money is going and how it's being spent and their role in the economy,
right,
the more trust that they'll have in the institutions and that the institutions are properly serving them. Right now, it doesn't feel that way because nobody really knows what's going on at all, right? And so I think the more that we can explain to people how things work, the easier it'll be to help move things forward rather than backwards.
And I think it's clear that we don't know purposefully, that the obfuscation of how this system works is purposefully kept from us. The ingredient list that would allow us better insight into how we're being screwed it's not happenstance. They do it on purpose. But you remain optimistic with the possibilities.
I mean, I think that's all you can do is be optimistic.
Right.
When you lose hope, what do you do?
You end up looking like this.
Yeah.
Look what hope looks like. That's over there. Hope. And now, loss. I'm so pleased that you joined us on the show. I'm telling you, man, this is essential reading for anyone out there who wants to have a basic understanding of the economy that you're dealing with so that you can make better informed decisions on how you want the economy to be in the future. Kyla, thank you so much for being with us. I really appreciate it. I hope we get a chance to talk to you again soon. Kyla Scanlon.